Hello, welcome back to my channel. Let's recap my November reading. This month was crazy. I basically picked up my Kindle, looked down, and just never looked back up until the month was over. And honestly, I'm not mad about it. It was what I needed, but wow, I don't think I've ever read this many books in a month. So I think what I'm going to do so that we're not here for an eternity is list off every book I read this month with its star rating, and then I'll go back in and talk about some of my favorites, or ones that I think should have, I don't know, certain things paid attention to. So yeah, let's get started, and I'm so sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. She decided that now is the time to play. So, first up, I read my first Penelope Douglas book, and it was fine, but I understand, I guess, why early Instagram and TikTok girlies like freaked out about it. That book is Birthday Girl. I gave that one 3 stars. Next, I read a hockey debut called Unsteady by Peyton, Corinne. 5 stars. No notes. Phenomenal. We'll come back to that one. Next up is The Worst Kept Secret by QB Tyler. I gave that one 4 stars. Jasper by Lululemon. By Lululemon. What is... Awkward. Jasper by Lulu Moore, I gave 3 stars. Cooper by Lulu Moore, I gave 4 stars. Credence by Penelope Douglas, I gave her 3 stars. Playmaker by Nikki Hall, 3 stars. Whistleblower by Kay Cove, I gave 4 stars. Collide by Bal Khabra, 4 stars. Painted Scars by Neva Altaj, 3 stars. Broken Whispers by Neva Altaj, 4 stars. Hidden Truths by Neva Altaj, 3 stars. Reckless by Elsie Silver, 4 stars. Pucking Ever After, Volume 2 by Dr. Emily Rath, 4 stars. Deviant Hearts by Jagger Cole, 3 stars. Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, 4 stars. Ruined Secrets by Neva Altaj, 3 stars. Stolen Touches by Neva Altaj, 4 stars. Fractured Souls by Neva Altaj, 3 stars. Burned Dreams by Neva Altaj, 3 stars. Can you tell that I got sucked into a Mafia romance series? Can you tell? Okay, so those were all the books I read this month. So let's talk about some of my faves or ones. Okay, let's actually start at the top with Birthday Girl. Not a favorite, but like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? I'm going to pair this conversation with The Worst Kept Secret because both of these are sorry, not sorry, I fucked your dad vibes. Okay, so with Birthday Girl, this girl lives in a shitty small town. There are very few people her age. They are her age. She's either dated before, are friends with, would never date, whatever. She's with her deadbeat boyfriend who at one time we're supposed to believe was great, and then he starts partying and is a piece of shit and is just like never really there for her. And she's carrying the backbone of their relationship. Not only trying to like make time for them, but she's working extra hours so they can afford their rent and stuff, and he's going out drinking every night and then calling out of work, which then means he's not getting paid and just generally being a dumbass. On her birthday, she's working at said shitty town bar, making measly amounts of money. He doesn't come pick her up at the end of the night like he's supposed to. Her car doesn't work. She walks over to a movie theater. They're showing one of her favorite like 80s horror flicks, I think. And she goes in there. She's sitting there drinking by herself in the theater, eating donuts or something. And the wine bottle rolls down and she's like trying to go like catch it. And so she ends up sitting next to this guy. He's definitely older. I think he's supposed to be in his late 30s, early 40s. And they strike up a conversation, whatever, and then they watch the movie and then they go their separate ways. And she gets a call from the jail that her boyfriend's in, and she says his name out loud, and the guy who was in the theater with her goes, "Wait, did you just say so-and-so?" Like, as in, and says his first and last name, and she goes, "Yeah." She's like, "Shit, that's my son." And so they go together to the jail, bail him out or whatever. They get kicked out of their apartment and live with the dad, and then things go from there. And it's just, the pacing of the story was weird. She goes with his dad to like help him on like construction sites a couple of times, which didn't really make a ton of sense other than like we're supposed to just believe that like this girl lives to work. I don't know. The vibes were off. But then I read The Worst Kept Secret by QB Tyler, which I gave 4 stars. And that one, again, is another sorry, not sorry, I fucked your dad. But very different vibes. So this girl has lived next door to this single dad who has a son her age and then a daughter who I think is like a year or two older than her. They've been friends basically her half her childhood. I think they moved in when she was like 9 or 10. And she's always had a crush on the dad, which is as taboo as it gets. 9 years old and be like, wow, my neighbor, so cute, whatever. Obviously, it being trying to be less ick, he obviously doesn't feel the way. She's a literal child, ignores her. But when she hits like college, he has that passing like, oh, she's grown up or whatever, but he's like immediately scolds himself and he's like, ew, you've known her since she's a child, like, please stop. That girl comes on to that man like it's her job.
Stop it. Get some help.
After she graduates college and she's in town, I think for the summer or something, and she's supposed to be moving on. She very much forces the issue, and he's like, I'm a man, I only have so much restraint. And then, it's off to the races, if you will. That one gets a little weird because the son has been in love with her since like childhood, and she's been very clear with him, like, I do not have those feelings for you, I don't feel this way. And it's been a little while since he's expressed them to her, and she thinks he's over it, but he's very much not over it. And obviously now she's fucking his dad, so obviously that's going to be a thing. But that's sort of like the drama was there, the juiciness was there. It was basically smut every other page, so like if that's your vibe, recommend. Okay, I'm going to skip Jasper, Cooper, and Credence because those were in a video at the beginning of the month, so I'll link that up here so you can go back and watch that if you want detailed thoughts on those. Let's talk about Unsteady by Peyton Corinne. Or is it Peyton Corinne? I'm sorry, it's Peyton Corinne. Wow. Wow. Okay, I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. This is a college hockey romance book following Reese and Sadie. Reese is a hockey player who takes this very nasty hit in the opening of the book. And the refs don't call it illegal. The guy who hits him, like, doesn't really get in trouble. It's very fucking weird. But, like, he literally like, blacks out on the ice. And, like, when I remember that book opening, I was like, well, he's the hero, so I know he's not going to die. But, like, is he going to die? Like, oh my gosh. And it's awful. And he has terrible PTSD afterwards. Like, he goes to this local community rink. It's like off season and season's coming up and he knows he's going to have to go back and like be the captain of his hockey team, and he's like trying to hold himself together. And then Sadie is, she is honestly trying to do it all. She's a figure skater. She's going to that same community rink trying to like work on her routines and get better because her coach is a hard ass to say the least. But she also is basically a single mom of 2. Her youngest 2 brothers don't really have anyone to look after them because her father suffers from alcoholism and is just not responsible and around in the way that alcoholism can affect a person. So she's doing that. She's trying to keep her figure skating scholarship because that's really the only way she's able to continue to be in college. And she walks in on Reese having a panic attack. She goes over to try to help him. And they connect, and it's wonderful. These 2 just have everything going against them, but they keep finding their way back to each other, and it's explosive at times. It's very slow and nurturing as well. Very emotionally present for 2 college-age kids. I highly recommend. It's so good. I would check the content warnings, though, like I said, for alcoholism, I think parental death, and then if being in a character's head while they're like going through a panic attack and like PTSD symptoms is a thing for you, I would skip that. But wow, it was so good. So Collide by Bal Khabra, also a great hockey romance, college romance. 4 stars. Absolutely loved it. It follows a star hockey player and a psych student. She's trying to get into the college's prestigious master's program. And to do that, her advisor's like, okay, they're supposed to do these like reports to kind of almost prove that they know what they're going to do in their track. And she's supposed to do hers on college athlete burnout. And her advisor knows that she has like a personal hatred of hockey for like real reasons, not just like, oh, hockey's stupid. Like, no, she has very real issues with hockey. And her advisor forces her, and you could ask to do something else, but, like, I'm not going to approve it. And the advisor she has is basically the end-all be-all of, like, getting into this program because she's, like, the head of the committee or something. And so she's like, fine, like, I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. And so she goes, she meets this hockey player. He wants nothing to do with this. He's the captain of the team. His teammates were hosting a party either at his place, or I think they have like a hockey house or something where like they all live or some of them live together. And the cops get called. It's very bad. And to be quite honest, he wasn't responsible for any of it, but he's the captain. And so he's like, it was me, coach. Like, I'll take the brunt of the blame or whatever. Like, I'll deal with whatever consequences come. And his coach is like, are you sure? Because, like, his coach also knows, like, I know you didn't do this. And he's like, yeah, I'm the captain. It's on me. Like, I'll take the brunt. And so he's like, okay. He's like, well, here's a list of all the, things you're going to need to do over the next however much time. Like, you're in so much trouble. You're in probation, whatever. Also, meet this psychology student. She's going to be working with you on this project about burnout. Get over it. He throws a hissy fit, and he kind of ruins it in the beginning, and then he grovels a little bit, and then it's just kind of off to the races from there. Once he softens to the project, and he really starts to, like, really like her and develop feelings for her, she is very put off by him for quite some time. Once he's committed to the bit, it's game over from there. I really enjoyed their chemistry. I enjoyed learning about her personal reasons for not enjoying hockey and watching her work through that, and then him supporting her through that was really great. Yeah, 10 out of 10 recommend. I don't think there was anything super dramatic about this, so if you wanted more something on the lighter hearted side but still has some real substance to it, I would recommend this one for sure. So then I read Reckless by Elsie Silver. This was the 4th book in the Chestnut Springs series, and it follows Winter, who is Summer's sister from the first book, I believe, and then Theo Silva, who is a bull rider who was also mentioned in the first book because he was mentored by Rhett, and Rhett and Summer were that first couple. They're in town for like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. They hook up one night. They swear they're not going to tell anyone of like their friends or like the Eaton family. Theo's like, cool, whatever, and then he goes on the road to go back onto the bull riding circuit because the holiday break is over. She finds out that she's pregnant. She keeps calling him, texting him, and is like, hey, like, I really need to tell you something. And so he's like, just tell me. And she's like, over text, like, it's actually very important. And he's like, yeah, just whatever, just text it to me. She tells him she's pregnant, and he goes, cool, like, thanks, essentially, like, for letting me know. And then just doesn't say anything after that. And she tells him, like, I'm not expecting anything of you, but, like, you deserve to know. And he's very, like, nonchalant about it. And then the story just kind of devolves from there. I loathe accidental pregnancy, surprise pregnancy tropes because often they're just not done very well. But honestly, Elsie Silver has yet to wrong me. She did this very well. I really enjoyed it. Like all Elsie Silver books, there's deep emotional stakes, well-developed chemistry and banter, and it was so good. I really, really enjoyed these two. Seeing Theo Silva go from, like, cocky bull rider to just immediate golden retriever daddy, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Pucking Ever After Volume 2, I'm not really going to talk too much about this because I can't without spoiling everything, because it's a happily ever after, like, novella. You do have to have read the first 2 books. So the first book is Pucking Around. It's a behemoth. It's like 650 pages, and that's a Why Choose novel. And then the second one is Pucking Wild, which follows Tess and Ryan. Ryan's on the same hockey team as the guys in the first book. And Tess is best friends with the female main character from the first book. And it just is, it's a happily ever after that. So I can't really tell you much about it, but it's really good. So if you've read those and you wanted more, Dr. Emily Rath has given us more. It's been a long time since I read and loved a thriller, but Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney had me from the very beginning. I absolutely love when authors use the tropes from And Then They Were None by Agatha Christie in their stories, but they make the reason for it just so compelling, or something that will really draw you in, and that's what happened with Daisy Darker. It's a great locked-in family thriller. This family comes to this island where their grandmother lives, and it's her 80th birthday on Halloween, and she always makes a big deal about it, and it's like the one time of year that like everybody comes together consistently. And she reads her will after dinner that night, and it sends the family into a absolute tailspin. And it's off to the races from there. I don't want to say too much. It's crazy. But what I really enjoyed, there's the writing is pretty poetic at times, which is not normal for thrillers, I feel like. Like, I found myself, I was listening to the audio, and then I went and downloaded the ebook from Libby so that I could highlight as I was going through, because I was just really enjoying some of the word choice. I also love the use of, like, nursery rhymes / like poems throughout. When there's a poem written on the chalkboard in the kitchen, and each line is about a different family member who's present at the, like, island house, and it's wild. It's not, you know what's funny is, for a thriller with murder, it's not super duper dark. I also really appreciated that the house and the island are kind of their own characters in the story, and you get dual timelines between the present-ish, I'm not sure what year it's supposed to be, but somewhere between, let's say, I don't know, 2000 and 2008. So it's like present-ish. So, but it's still removed enough that there aren't, like, random comments about, like, Instagram in there, which, like, I really appreciate when authors will bring something into, like, a modern timeline, but, like, still be withdrawn enough so it's not in our present timeline. Sometimes it feels like a gotcha moment when you're reading those, and it's kind of like, but that was a trend when you were writing this, but it's, like, not anymore. And so I appreciate that she had a more removed timeline. Like, there's references to using a Nokia phone that has Snake on it and using that as, like, a distraction during the night. Which brought me back to when I also had a Nokia brick phone and would play Snake on it. But it was just a really good time. You don't know who to trust. You're questioning everybody the whole time. It's so good. It's so good. It is kind of long, I will say. Like, the book itself is not long. I want to say it's like 370 pages maybe. So, like, physically not long. But the pacing sometimes feels a little bit drawn out. But to me, the reward was worth it in the end, and so I really enjoyed that journey. Okay, let's talk about the Mafia romance series that took over the last, like, 2 weeks of November for me. I can't remember what the name of the series is. If I do, I'll put it up here somewhere, but there are, like, 8 or 9 books in total, but one of them's not out yet, so I read basically all the ones that were available for the most part. And to be quite honest, most of them were just fine. I was very stressed and just needed something that was just easy to consume, and this was it. But I do have a couple that stood out to me. So the second book in this series was called Broken Whispers, and that one followed Mikhail, who was the enforcer of the Russian Mafia, and he enters an arranged marriage with, I think her name was Isabella. I can't remember, but she was the daughter of a Cosa Nostra, which is the Cosa Nostra Italian Mafia, I think. And they did that as, like, an alliance thing in the way you do in a Mafia romance. But she can't speak because of an accident that happened. I shouldn't say that. She can speak, but it's physically painful for her, so she does not speak, and she mostly communicates via sign language, texts, and notes. I really enjoyed their relationship. It was great. Also, we find out at some point that Mikhail actually has a daughter who lives with him, and so you see this man whose job it is to, like, torture people to get information from them, and to, like, take care of problems for his mafia. And then his 4-year-old is, like, has him wrapped around her little finger. They were very cute. That one was great. And the other one that got me was Stolen Touches, which is, I think, like, number 6 in the series. And this one was also the female main character is from Cosa Nostra, and she had left Chicago, where their family is based, to come to New York to do a residency. And the local mafia boss there has always had a rule of, like, you can't, other people from other families, like, from the same family from Cosa Nostra, but, like, if you're from Chicago, Cosa Nostra, you don't come up to New York without telling him you're coming to New York. He runs into her as she's, like, helping a woman who's, like, giving birth in her car in the hospital parking lot, and she, like, asks him for his jacket. She, like, grabs the baby in it or whatever. And then the other doctors come out, help her, and so she's kind of, like, walking away, but you can tell, like, all her adrenaline's crashing. And so he runs over, helps her in, like, sits her down or whatever, and then just, like, leaves. Doesn't say who he is, doesn't threaten her, doesn't do anything. And then he just keeps coming back in a way, and some of it, honestly, is creepier and stalkerish in the way that is only a walking green flag in a Mafia romance. But he kind of is, like, looking out for her, and then they keep having these, like, little dates, but, like, again, he doesn't tell her his name, his real name. She calls him something, and he just, like, lets her continue that. And then something happens, and he calls the Chicago Cosa Nostra, and he's like, something of yours has found its way to my town, and we're going to deal with it. And so her brother comes up, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? I thought you were at home. Like, what's going on? why are you in New York? Also, he's pissed. And she thinks like, oh shit, is he going to kill me? And he's like, no, you're getting married to this guy tomorrow. Now, granted, she still doesn't know that her mystery man is a mafia boss. So when he walks into her apartment and she's like, are you fucking serious? So then they get married and it's chaotic and wonderful and a nonsense good time if you're into that. Thanks so much for joining me on this look into my November reading. What a wild month, honestly. It was chaotic, but so good, and I would do it all over again. And with that being said, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. If you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing, and doing all those fun YouTube things, I will see you in my next video soon.